There are no disclosures. The TEACH curriculum and slides were developed and compiled with funding from the Government of Ontario, Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. Contents of slides are primarily based on evidence-based guidelines from the following three sources. The development and delivery of the TEACH curriculum is not influenced or funded in any part by the tobacco industry. TEACH has not received funding from the tobacco industry. And the development of the TEACH curriculum has not been influenced by pharmaceutical industry. Information presented on pharmacotherapy refers to products only, and recommendations are based on existing research, including Canada and U.S. guidelines. These materials, as well as the verbal presentation and any discussions, set out only general principles and approaches to assessment and treatment pertaining to tobacco cessation intervention, but do not constitute clinical or other advice as to any particular situations and do not replace the need for individualized clinical assessment and treatment plans by healthcare professionals. Okay, now before I hand it over to Breanne, I just have a few polling questions to go through with everyone, just to get a sense of the group that is attending here today. So let me just bring up. Okay, first question is, what type of organization do you currently work for? Okay, great. So it looks like the majority of you are from the Public Health Unit. Next question is, what region are you from? Wow, so overwhelming majority of you are outside of Ontario. That's great. Okay, and last question, what discipline do you belong to? Majority of you are registered nurses. So thank you everyone for taking part in the poll. And I'm going to hand over the presentation to Breanne.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and thank you to everyone for logging in today. And I'd also like to thank CanMH and TEACH for this opportunity. So I'm going to start by going over our learning objectives. So I'm first going to talk about LOFT Community Services as a whole, so about our organization. Then I'll be speaking about John Gibson House and the Stepping Stone Project. And then we'll be saving the best for last. We'll be talking about smoking and mental illness among at-risk older adults and seniors. The LOFT Community Services. So for over 60 years, LOFT Community Services has been promoting recovery and independence. So we provide services to youth, adults, and seniors. with complex challenges including serious mental health challenges, dementia, substance abuse issues, physical health challenges, and homelessness, or at the risk of becoming homeless. We provide many services, including supportive and supported housing, as well as case management services. So in terms of community case management, we serve around, probably over at this point, 2,000 clients annually. We have over 1,000 supportive housing units in a range of housing types. We have our behavioral support mobile teams, which is up in the north, and we serve 1,000 clients annually, and that number is growing. And our services offering to youth, adults, and seniors, housing, employment, community, and hope. The LOFT Senior Services has been a leader for more than 30 years, providing specialized community-based housing and support services to, again, the vulnerable and at risk. So in terms of our seniors programs, we have 11 models of 24 hours supportive housing, transitional supportive housing, psychogeriatric case management, and behavioral support services that support older adults and seniors in Toronto, York Region, and the South Central area of Ontario. So these include units where we provide support in Toronto community housing buildings, so College View, Dunn Avenue, and Crosslinks. And then we have our own LOFT buildings, including John Gibson House and St. Anne's Place. We have some new programs that include Mount Dennis and Pelham Park that are, again, support provided within Toronto community housing. And we have our behavioral support programs in Bradford House, which is in Bradford, and a new program as well, which is a loft-owned building where we support older adults and seniors. So LOFT is one of the largest organizations of its type in Ontario, and it's the province's most diverse supportive housing provider. So that's definitely something that we are proud of. We offer specialized programs that reach more than 4,000 vulnerable and marginalized youth, adults, and seniors, with a special focus on those with mental and physical health and substance abuse issues. So our mission, and I should mention all this information is available on our website, so I encourage you to visit our website, LOFT Community Services. So our mission is to help people achieve their optimal health and well-being in the community. LOFT offers unwavering support and hope. We serve people living with complex mental health, addictions, cognitive, and physical health challenges, offering a range of services and housing delivered in the community. Through innovation, investment, expertise, and collaboration, we respond to changing needs in our diverse community. Our vision is together we can all live successful in our community. And our values are accountability, excellence, proactivity, leadership, adaptability, respect, and inclusiveness. Our approach. So we take the approach of psychosocial rehabilitation. And again, you can read up on this on our website or just type in PSR Canada. So we take a recovery-based approach So who do we support? In terms of our senior services, we support older adults and seniors living with mental health and or addiction challenges. So these older adults and seniors are considered at risk. So their RIDE-CHAR and MAPLE scores are generally 3, 4, and 5, so the higher scores. And these are very culturally diverse adults and seniors. So again, they might be very socially isolated, have been in the hospital system for a long time. They're unable to maintain housing or find housing. They may be experiencing elder abuse, be involved in the legal system. So that's why we're there to help them navigate this system and help them find housing and support them to become independent. So now I'm going to talk about LOFT on Gibson and the Stepping Stone project. And that's the house, the beautiful house. It's located in Trinity Bellwoods Park. So John Gibson House provides specialized high-support housing to vulnerable and at-risk older adults and seniors. We provide permanent and transitional housing and support services for men and women aged 55 and older with mental health, addiction, and housing challenges. John Gibson House support services includes personal support workers who provide practical assistance with the activities of daily living. So they help with housekeeping, with laundry, personal hygiene, supporting clients with their ADLs, escorts to the appointments, and in an atmosphere that is friendly and respectful. It is a beautiful house, and I encourage anyone, if you're ever in the area, to come by and visit us. Again, we're located in Trinity Bellwoods Park, so the surroundings are quite lovely. We just had construction. We went through it for about 2 years ago. It was a long process. However, the house is absolutely beautiful, I must say. So again, I encourage you to come by and visit. So we also offer a full meal program and communal dining to ensure residents receive nutritious meals and regular opportunities for social interaction. We also have staff on site 24/7. So it's a wonderful house and a wonderful place for our residents. So the meals are provided, snacks are provided in between. We have housekeeping staff, maintenance staff, and our managerial staff. The John Gibson House Psychogeriatric Case Management is also available to assist residents in navigating the healthcare and social services system to obtain the full range of services that they need. So we currently have 2 psychogeriatric case managers and 1 mobile support worker. So these case managers support our stepping stone clients as well as clients who have moved out into the community. So they remain with these clients and help them with a range of activities including budgeting, appointment support, maintaining their housing, and so on. So this Stepping Stone project, so I should mention John Gibson House has 50 residents. 38 of the residents are permanent and 12 belong to the Stepping Stone project. So how did this come about? So back in 2009, we created this program in response to the emergency department / the alternative level of care problem. So this is where older adults and seniors were remaining was originally funded as a 2-year pilot project under the Aging at Home strategy by the Toronto Central LHIN. So the partnership between LOFT Community Services and CAMH was formed. So the goal of the Stepping Stone project is to serve at-risk seniors with mental health and or addiction challenges to transition from the hospital to permanent housing in the community with appropriate support. So it's a transitional housing project. So the idea is that we take people from hospital, so they must be in hospital, then they come stay with us at John Gibson House, and the goal is for about 3 to 6 months, and at which time we get to know the clients, and then we work with them to find permanent supportive housing in the community. So these are older adults and seniors who are 55 and older, and they have serious mental health and or addiction challenges. So again, we're located in Trinity Bellwood Park. In theory, about 50% of our clients come from CAMH, and about 50% come from other acute hospitals within the Toronto Central LHIN. So again, we have 12 beds, but these 12 beds turn into about 30 clients a year that we transition into permanent housing in the community each year. So LOFT Community Services, so we are the lead organization, and again, we provide 24-hour supportive housing services. So once again, we have personal support workers on staff, so there's at least 3 staff on all day and all night. We have dietary, housekeeping, maintenance staff, our mobile PSW, and again, the psychogeriatric outreach workers. So we are gratefully and thankfully in partnership with CAMH and with PACE. So we have an RN, so she comes in alongside our geriatric psychiatrist and occupational therapist. So they come into the house once a week, and they visit all of the Stepping Stone clients just to ensure that they're doing well, to check in, to make sure their psychosis is okay, to make sure they don't have any issues in terms of their psychiatric care or in terms of their mobility or in terms of their physical health. So the RN comes in at least twice a week, and she helps with injections or, again, just making sure the clients are physically well. And there's also on-site crisis intervention. We also provide follow-up services upon discharge if eligible. So if a client comes to us and they already have an ACT team, for example, we ask that they remain with the ACT team. While they're in Stepping Stone, they will be under our care, so they will be under the care of our psychiatrist, our RN, and our OT. However, once they're discharged back into the community, they will remain or continue receiving support from their ACT team. If they don't have an ACT team, then we would most likely connect them with PACE. So they would provide, so PACE would be providing follow-up services to these clients. So admission criteria. So 55 years and older, mental health and addiction issue. Again, they must presently be in hospital. We are unable to accept clients from the community. Otherwise, I feel like we would probably have an overwhelming amount of people applying to the program. So unfortunately, it's just restricted to those who are in ALC or ED beds. And they must be older adults or seniors who are assessed as being able to eventually live independently in the community with thing is the seniors who are assessed, they must not require long-term care. So it's in our project charter that we are unable to transition clients of the Stepping Stone project into long-term care. So these clients must not require long-term care. And one of the biggest things is the clients must be voluntary. So they must volunteer and agree to become part of the program. They must agree to meet with a psychiatrist once a week, and they must agree to want to be a part of the program and move in and eventually move on to housing in the community. Exclusion criteria. So things like they cannot function in their daily lives without special medical equipment such as IV or an oxygen tank, etc. So again, we highlight that the seniors assessed as requiring long-term care, nursing home care, will not be accepted. So seniors needing 24-hour nursing and medical psychiatric on-site support, seniors who are very violent or are likely to cause harm to themselves or others. This one, recent history of fire, arson, sexual abuse, physical violence, and or unsafe smoking. I think we're a bit more lenient on that one because we understand the population that we're working with, and this is often the case that clients are under the ORB or have had some of these issues in their past, but it might have been situational, might have been where they're living, they weren't receiving medication, so we take all these factors into account. So we're a bit more loose regarding that exclusion criteria. So these are just some stats to kind of give you an idea of the clients who we're working with in the Stepping Stone project. So about 60% were accepted from CAMH, 12% from St. Mike's, 10% from St. Joe's, 7% from Mount Sinai, 5% from Toronto East General, 3% from Toronto General, and 2% from Bridgepoint, and the other 2% from other. In terms of mental health diagnoses, again, almost half schizophrenia, 15% depression, 11% schizoaffective disorder, 19% history of alcohol misuse, 7% bipolar disorder, 2% anxiety disorder, and 2% mood disorder. So where do they go after they come into our program? So for the most part, as you can see, an overwhelming amount of our clients go to St. Anne's Place. So St. Anne's Place is a loft-owned building. It's at Dundas and Dufferin. And it's a beautiful building, and it's lovely in the sense that clients have their own apartments. So they have their own unit with a full washroom and a kitchenette. So there's a sink, a fridge, and a microwave. So they are able to remain fairly independent in the community. They can cook for themselves if they choose. However, there is full meal service provided on the top floor of the apartment. It's a beautiful view. Again, if you're ever in the area, you should go to St. Anne's. It's lovely. So full meal services provided, as well as full PSW support. So there are PSWs on site 24/7. So they help with medication management, mostly also with ADL support, some housekeeping, symptom management, and those types of things. And they also have 2 case managers on site. So other places that we transition our clients to is Dunn Avenue, which is a housing building where LOFT provides support on site. Lower Ossington, which is one of the new buildings on the CAMH property. Again, beautiful, lovely condos. So we have 6 clients living there. College View, which is a Toronto community housing building. Again, LOFT provides support on site. Other Toronto community housing buildings, we transitioned some people back home with support. So it might be that we get CCAC in place, and then we provide them with our case manager who will go and check in with them in the community. Some of them go to boarding homes, and some of them stay at LOFT John Gibson House. So it's often those who we find have the highest needs, and we're unable to place them in the community. That's when they end up at John Gibson House. However, this is never a guarantee and doesn't happen that often, but it is somewhat of an option. Again, St. Anne's Place is a wonderful place for our clients. We find that they do very well there. And Simone Apartments, which is located downtown, that's around Bay and College. It's a LOFT-owned building, and there's support on site as well at Simone. So partnerships and successes. So again, we have our partnership between LOFT, CAMH, and the Toronto Central LHIN. So at LOFT at John Gibson House, we have a partnership with the Village Family Health Team, which has been wonderful. So we have our GP, so our clients are more than welcome to go see him at the clinic. Otherwise, he comes to the house, which is phenomenal for our clients who are unable to leave the house due to fear or inability. So he comes in once every few months, or if we really need him to. We have a chiropodist who comes in once every few months, and we also have dietary consultation. So we're very grateful and happy to be in partnership with the Village Family Health Team. So some of the successes is the recovery of ADL skills and interests. So we encourage our clients to, for example, do their own laundry. If they're unable to do themselves, we will support them. However, we find that they do maintain and gain their independence and interest as well. So at John Gibson House, there are a lot of activities provided. So we have an activation manager, and she creates wonderful outings throughout each month, so they often go on day trips, or we have activities in-house that we encourage clients to join in at any time. And also, it's, again, that we're in the park. Some of our clients even go down to the community center and they join the gym there. We're also very close to CAMH, so they might join in some of the activities at CAMH. So it's a great location. We also have wonderful linkages to community resources, CCAC, and other community and stakeholders. And we often, thankfully, receive very positive feedback from clients and families. And what we've seen, and perhaps what is very most important, because it was kind of part of the whole Stepping Stone project in the first place, is that there's been a sharp drop in the number of readmissions in emergency department visits. And so I think that's thanks to our team, to our PSWs, and all of our support workers. So I thank them. So smoking cessation and LOFT. So I thought this was kind of neat. So what we did is we went around the house and we asked 38 of our residents, so our permanent John Gibson House residents, about their smoking history. So out of the 38 clients, the average age that the client started smoking was at 14 years old. To me, this sounds extremely young. However, it seems to be the norm, apparently. So again, among these 38 clients, the average length that they have smoked is 49 years. So the average age of clients, you can guess, is about 60, 65. So they've been smoking a long time. The number of packs per day is about 1 to 2 packs. So I asked them about quitting. So how many of them have tried to quit in the past? Each one said they have tried to quit. Most of them said that they've tried about 2 to 3 times. In terms of success rate, 0. So we had one person who quit for 3 years, but then he started smoking again. So then we asked about the method. So how did they try and quit smoking? So 15 of them said they used nicotine replacement therapies. So we say including hospitalizations, and I'll speak about this a bit later in the presentation, but we find it interesting and maybe an opportunity is that when clients are admitted to hospital or admitted to CAMH, for example, they cannot smoke, of course, on the unit, and they cannot smoke within 9 meters of the building. So CAMH has really non-smoking bylaws in place. So if a client doesn't have a day pass, isn't able to go outside, they are unable to smoke. So we find this kind of, it might be an opportunity to start a smoking cessation program with these clients or build on it somehow. I'm very open to feedback and to hearing ideas about that, but again, we'll touch on it a bit later. 34 of them said they attempted cold turkey, and only one used medication, and so he used Champix, and he went from smoking 3 packs a day for over 45 years, and he cut down to smoking 1 pack a day. So in our opinion, that is the most successful quit attempt, going down from 3 packs a day to 1. So that's pretty great. So again, just to paint a picture of the 38 clients that we surveyed for these results. So 31 have schizophrenia, 3 depression, 2 with personality disorder, 3 dual diagnosis, and 5 with concurrent disorders. In terms of their physical health issues, so it's diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, hypothyroidism, arthritis, cancer, obesity, heart disease, COPD, and hepatitis C. So again, these are stats from the 38 people we surveyed. So where do we go from there? So we decided to try having a smoking cessation group, and I'm going to chat about it, our challenges, experience, and lessons learned. So what we did is we had some MSW students, so Master of Social Work students from U of T, great to have students, and one of our psychogeriatric case managers developed a smoking cessation group. So the duration was 8 weeks, and the idea was to have it for an hour on every Thursday. So it was an open group drop-in with a flexible agenda. So it was to serve our clients, the older adults and seniors living with mental health and addiction issues, smoking in particular, of course, in this case. And the attendance fluctuated between 3 to 6 group members. So this was in theory how the program was going to run. So what we did was we had our student and the psychogeriatric case manager attend the Getting Started workshop. So they learned about the intake process and how the program worked. So the group was originally modeled after CAMH's tobacco smoking cessation group. So the agenda materials from CAMH were adapted by the group facilitators to meet the needs of the group's population. So they had simplified exercising and basic to the point information. So the overall plan was to outline the members' goals, their motivations to cut back or quit smoking, to identify trigger points, recognize strengths and assets that could support their goals, to discuss possible challenges, and share strategies for success. So the facilitators planned their first two group sessions with a very structured agenda. And as the group progressed, the facilitators quickly realized that having a structured agenda would not be successful for meeting the needs of our population. So I think at first they tried to get as many people involved and were very enthusiastic about it. And again, their outline and their agenda was quite structured. So what did the group look like? So in the group, they discussed the goals, so the client goals. So they talked about how often the client smoked and whether or not they'd like to quit smoking or if they'd like to cut down on the amount of cigarettes they smoked each day. So everyone set their own goals, and most were able to write it down on the worksheet. So again, the facilitators provided simplified worksheets for the client and helped them fill in the forms if need be. So most of them wanted to cut down. I don't think anyone really identified that they were willing to quit smoking, but they were very interested in cutting down on the amount of cigarettes they smoked each day. So, for example, one member said that they didn't want to smoke in the morning, or they wanted to go about 4 hours without having a cigarette. So these were some of the goals that they were setting for themselves. They discussed cravings, and so some of the cravings that the clients mentioned were seeing other people smoke, so seeing their, whether it be in the park, just seeing someone smoke in general made them want to smoke, of course. Also feeling stressed, feeling anxiety, and boredom was one of the biggest things. So boredom was also one of the biggest triggers. So in terms of triggers, boredom was number one. Mood regulation, so how they were feeling that day. Coffee, so if they had a coffee, it often goes in hand with having a cigarette. Meals, and my favorite, waking up. So when you wake up in the morning, what do? You go out and you have a cigarette. So these were the triggers that the members identified. Motivation, so the reasons for quitting. So most of them identified that they would like to get healthy, make healthier choices, and money. So they would like to save money. They also discussed the challenges. So what were some of the challenges that they faced? Boredom. It gives them something to do. Again, I mentioned there's lots of activities that are provided on site at John Gibson House. However, they don't last all day and they're not every day. So it's understandable about boredom. Mood, so again, if they were having a good day versus a bad day. Another challenge is that it's easy to access cigarettes. They can just ask their friend or the person sitting next to them, and we have quite a few wheeler dealers, and that's their thing, so they are able to access cigarettes quite easily. And a lot of them said that they enjoy smoking, so they find it comforting. So that is one of the biggest challenges to them wanting to quit smoking. They talked about what to do instead of smoking. So some suggestions were to go for a walk, to talk to staff, to drink water, drink coffee, do things with your hands like knitting, or again, to participate in the house activities. Some strategies that were mentioned were to keep the cigarettes in your room, so you have to go upstairs when you want to have a cigarette, to delay having a cigarette for 5 minutes, and to track cigarettes. So the facilitators suggested tracking when the clients smoke and how often they smoke. However, this was unsuccessful tracked the progress, and they did this not by the self-report, but by asking the clients how their week was. Again, they did not use a formal tracking system as the members were not interested. So this is, of course, left room for error in our tracking and monitoring to find out how the program actually, its successes, how it went. So what they found that group members would often not attend the group on a consistent basis. So again, it depended on the client's mood that day. They would show up late or they would leave early. They would hover between contemplative and determination stages of change, and they sometimes had a difficult time listening to others. So the facilitators realized that these issues were characteristic of the population that we're working with. So they adapted the group in the following ways. Instead of having a very structured, formal agenda, they made it a drop-in format with a loosely structured agenda and a variety of materials ready to meet the needs of whoever showed up to the group. The facilitators would also allow group discussions to be flexible and move smoothly between the whole group, and they allowed one-on-one discussions. Depending on who was there and how the members were feeling, the facilitators would either shift to one-on-one discussions. So there was 2, maybe 3 facilitators. It depended. We had one student come in and leave just in terms of the timing of their placement. So sometimes there was 3 staff and there might have only been 3 members. So they were able to have that one-on-one discussion, which turns out worked best for our client population. So again, we found that overall smaller groups with more one-on-one attention worked best for this population. So the group had many short-term successes. All the group's participants reported positive feedback regarding the group's topics and activities. So some of the activities included having snacks. So the facilitators found that providing snacks to the group was very helpful and aided in attendance at the beginning, but it didn't necessarily keep the members involved or engaged. So it was a great way to kind of get them involved at first, but didn't necessarily help with keeping them engaged throughout the whole group. They also used bingo to help entice people. So at the beginning, they kind of try to make it fun in an open group and have bingo as an activity. Again, it helped to draw people in, but didn't necessarily keep them engaged. They also went on walks and went on coffee outings. So instead of having the group on site, they would go out and have the group at a coffee shop, for example. And again, they had their worksheets, and they talked about goal setting. So all of the members reported an increased motivation to change their smoking habits by the end of each group session. So which to me is great. They're motivated and they're feeling good about their quit attempts. However, the biggest challenge was being able to effectively track the actual progress of the group members and cutting back their smoking. So again, the members were not interested in self-reporting their smoking habits, and we unfortunately are unable to stay with them all day and night to track it, so we just kind of had to go on their word. So the biggest observed difference among the group members was their greater motivation to cut back, as well as being able to articulate strategies to quit smoking. So in conclusion, many of the group members began their group in the contemplative state of change And towards the end of the group, all of the group members shifted towards a determination stage of change by being willing to take small actions towards their personal smoking goals. And we still have one member who's quite interested in cutting down, and he comes and chats with me every day and tells me, you know, I waited 4 hours in between cigarettes, or I had a coffee instead, or I went to the gym. So these groups have been very effective, and I really do believe that it helps keep it in mind and just helps our clients remain aware of their smoking habits and what their goals have been. And as the staff are all aware as well, so we help to encourage them maybe not to have a cigarette or to go for a walk instead, or to have a chat. We'll chat with them and engage with them. Or right now, to go outside, we have a beautiful veranda, to sit on the veranda. So there's many activities, but I think realistically it's great that they just kind of have it in mind and are aware of their smoking habits. So recommendations, what did we learn from these groups? So an open, flexible group format worked better than a closed group with a fixed agenda. Again, as you can imagine, we are working with older adults and seniors with mental health and addiction issues. So getting along in a group can often be difficult. Some of the clients were more vocal or overwhelming, and it was overwhelming to some of the other clients. So again, that's what contributed to the one-on-one and why they found it worked the best. Our clients, as is everyone, loves personal attention, and everybody is different, and we recognize that everyone's different, their mental health issues are different, their personalities are different, so it makes sense that the one-on-one attention and consultation and appreciation would be most effective. They also found that co-facilitation was essential to allow for more individual attention towards the members. So again, we preferred to have 2 or 3 facilitators present during these groups, again, just to maintain the flow and to allow for the one-on-one conversations. They also found that simple hands-on activities worked well to engage the population in the daily topics, and concise, easy information handouts were received quite well by the population. So I think the facilitators tried to link the topics or the topics for the day to daily activities, like waking up in the morning. What do you do? What could you do instead of going out for a cigarette? Maybe you could go outside and sit down, or maybe you could chat with a friend, or you could go down and talk to the staff. You could go out for a coffee. So I think they tried to make it very simple and realistic for our clients. So what we also found is that we need an evaluation tool to measure the success and progress of each group member. So I'm not sure what this evaluation tool would look like, but I am so very open to any suggestions or comments or feedbacks in terms of anyone who has had experience with this type of smoking cessation group with this type of population, so that would be great to hear from you. We also learned that a group that meets daily over a shorter period of time may be more effective for initiating, tracking change. So the good part about this is that our facilitators, the students were on site 3 days a week. The case manager was on site for the most part 5 days a week. So what we found was that members would speak with the with the MSW student and their case manager every day about their smoking and about their habits, but it would just be, perhaps a 15-minute conversation wherever they may be. But they found that to be most helpful because it's fresh in the client's mind and they're thinking about it every day as opposed to meeting just once a week. We also found that concrete actions like sticker charts, so they were very creative in the ways that they tried to engage the members to track the changes, may be more effective for this population in order for them to be able to visualize their progress and for the facilitators to evaluate their progress. So they had to be a bit creative in finding these ways. The next steps. So this is one I wish my lovely colleague Laura was here. She is a guru of all medication and medical knowledge. She has a wonderful nursing background. So she would have been more able to talk about the nicotine replacement therapies than I would. However, I think issues that we need to think about and look into are suitability, accessibility, the cost, and so that's where perhaps our partnership with CAMH would come in quite handy. Streamlining a process for entry into a smoking cessation program, information collection, and medications. Again, it's a very complex population that we are working with. So in terms of finding the appropriate NRT, I think would be quite the process, but I think if we work together, we would be able to find a successful way to support our clients. So what do we want to do in general? So overall, our goal is to develop a resident-directed support group with our complex older adults and seniors that assist them to achieve their goals of successfully quitting their addiction to nicotine. And it might not be quitting, but it might be just cutting down. Again, going from 3 packs a day to 1 pack a day is a big success. We'd like to explore residents' previous quit attempts more in depth, to research best practices related to older adults and seniors with mental health and addiction issues, and what's worked. So in terms of this, if anyone has any research or feedback or experience with smoking cessation in older adults with mental health issues, I would love to hear from you. So perhaps we can talk about that in a question period, which is coming up right now. And we would like to continue to use our collaboration with STOP, Teach, CAMH, and other community partnerships to build upon the current smoking cessation program and develop new ideas and directions. So again, we're very open to ideas and feedback, and we're very much looking forward to continue our collaboration with the STOP, Teach, and CAMH programs because they have been wonderful and huge supporters, and so we continue to look forward to working with CAMH. So I'd like to thank you all very much, and now would be the time for questions, and I think I'm going to pass it off to Tanya, right? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, perfect.
Okay, everyone. So if you have questions and you're logged in online, please feel free to continue typing your questions into the chat box. As well, if you are dialed into the teleconference line only, you can hit *1 on your line to unmute. Okay, I'm just going to scroll back up to the beginning because we do have some questions from early on. Okay, so the first question that I see here in the chat is, what do RIA, CHA, and MAPLE stand for?
Right, so the RISA is a tool that we use to assess a client's physical and mental health issues, so kind of how they are physically. So it looks at what are their mental health issues and how they're able to function. So if they require support in terms of ADLs, if they require support with meals, with just with bathing, with if they have hearing impairments, vision impairments, physical impairments. So the MAPLE score is kind of what comes out of the RICHA. So the higher score means that the client has higher needs. So it looks at the mental health function, the physical function. So that's what it stands for.
And the next question here from Thames Valley, if this was a pilot, will there be planning for subsequent locations in other regions?
That's a good question. It was a pilot within our own program, again in partnership with CAMH. So I would be more than happy to continue to share the information that we've learned, but I'm not sure we're at the point yet that we would be able to go out to other regions, but that's for sure a possibility, something to look forward to. So I appreciate that as a suggestion. We'll keep that in mind for sure.
Okay, next question is, how are they assessed to determine that they are able to live independently in the community?
Yeah, so most of these clients have been, so in terms of the Stepping Stone project, most of these clients have been in hospital for some time, and most of them have been in the system for some time. So it's either the social worker who's in the hospital, or again, some of the clients are receiving support from an ACT team where they have case management in the community. So we rely on these partners to help inform our decisions. So, and they also, I should mention, they also come in for a tour and interview. So before they're accepted into the Stepping Stone project, we ask that they come to John Gibson House. So they have to see the house, have a tour of the house. They have to like it and agree to move in. But the psychiatrist asks a range of questions, and we ask a range of questions. And these questions help determine the eligibility for the program. So we kind of ask them where they want to live. Do they want to live in an apartment? And we ask them things as simple as, can you do the stairs? Can you do your own laundry? Can you cook your meals? What type of supports do you need? So we have an interview process that we do, but we also rely on the hospital or our caseworkers to provide a bit of history regarding the clients. So oxygen, yeah. So people with oxygen tanks, we had a fire at John Gibson House about 5 years ago. It is an old house. It's a beautiful house. So we are very aware that some of the clients, as much as smoking is not permitted in the house, nor is it permitted around the house, some of the clients do still smoke around the house or in the house. So it's a hazard, because they are free to come and go as they please. It's their home. We have no restrictions on what they can and cannot do. They are free to live their lives. So if they had an oxygen tank, there's a huge possibility, and if they smoke, that there might be a fire. So we can't make that risk.
And what if a client moves into a situation where they now fall under the exclusion criteria while in the project?
Well, that's the beauty of having the support from CAMH. So we try for that not to happen, for lack of better words. So again, the client meets with a psychiatrist once a week. So that's when they can speak with a psychiatrist and address any concerns. And again, we have staff on site 24/7. So if we notice anything different or any changes in the client, then we will let the psychiatrist know immediately. She comes to the house once a week. However, we communicate almost every day. We're always chatting about the client. So we take more of a preventative measure in terms of that. And I mean, we're very flexible. Again, we understand that the population we're working with is quite complex. So we're quite flexible, but again, we have great supports with Canada